Hey guys, welcome to 6 by 2 inches vlog. So we are going to study memory chapter today. And since this chapter is lengthy, I'm dividing this chapter and this is our lecture 1. Do you remember your birth date? Can you explain how to tie your shoes? All these are related to the process of memory. I would like to recommend movies which are related to the memory process, which you can understand after watching it. One, I think you must have watched it. It's a Bollywood movie called Gajni. And second movie is 51st Days. In both of the movies, they have short-term memory loss. So the three basic functions of memory are: first is encoding, second is storing, third is retrieving information. So first, encoding. Now what is encoding? It's an act of getting information into a memory system through automatic or effortful processing. It is the first step in the memory system, and it's to get sensory information like sight, sound into a form that the brain can use to process or interpret. It's called as encoding. For example, if you are hearing some sound, then your ears will convert those air into a vibrations and a meaningful neural message from the auditory nerve, which makes it possible for the brain to interpret that sound which you are hearing. And second is storage. So storage is retention of the information. Retention means to hold, so it's like holding some information or storing it. And retrieval means act of getting information out of the storage into the conscious awareness whenever you need it. So it can be done through the process called recall, recognition, or relearning. Okay, there are three levels of memories: sensory memory, short term memory, and long term memory. Sensory memory is the memory in which you get information through your senses, such as eyes, ears, or nose, and you hold on to the important information which you find relevant, and then it is processed, organized, and interpreted. For example, if letters are flashed on the screen for a moment, it will be your eyes giving you the information, that is your senses giving you the information. And if you find that letter relevant, then you will hold on to that information and it will be passed into the short term memory. So sensory information that is relevant to us at the moment or a memory we are thinking about are stored in short term memory, and short term memory is also known as working memory. So the capacity of short-term memory, which was found out by George Miller through span test. So he found out that the capacity is 7 plus or minus 2. So now what is digit span test? In digit span test, instructor gives the instruction such as like listen carefully and to the numbers which I'm reciting, and then he reads out a string of numbers, and as soon as he ends reading the number, then he asks the person to write down the numbers in the exact order in which they were given. So Miller had conducted this experiment, and he found that half of the people are like able to memorize the numbers till like seven atoms or pieces of information. But there were few people who could remember the bits of information or pieces of information till 9 digits. So he concluded the capacity of short-term memory is 7 plus or minus 2. And there is also one concept which you should know, which is called chunking. So there is a way to fool short-term memory for holding more information than it is usual, because we know that we cannot hold information more than seven pieces or like 7 plus or minus 2, right? So for example, see this number: 6544566899. Just in a one go you won't be able to memorize this number. So what you will do is you will divide this parts of numbers. For example, you will say, for example, it is 6 5, then double 4, then 5 double 6 8 9 4 9. You will be able to memorize this way. So this is called as chunking. The process of recoding or reorganizing the information, it is called as chunking. Everything else that we need to save for later or for long term is it goes into a long term memory. Okay, so we are going to study about sensory memory. It is the first stage of memory, the point at which information enters the nervous system through the senses. And there are two kinds of sensory memory. First is iconic or visual memory, and second is echoic or auditory or hearing memory. So let's talk about iconic memory. It is visual sensory memory which lasts only for a fraction of seconds. And the major work done by a psychologist in this area of iconic memory is by George Sperling. He found out that capacity of this iconic memory is everything that can be seen at one time, and duration is only a quarter of a second, and old information is replaced by new information. Also, you need to know about masking, which means that in real life, the information that has just entered the iconic memory will be pushed out very quickly by new information. Let's talk about function of iconic memory. So iconic memory helps the visual surroundings as continuous and stable. It helps us to adapt to the visual stimulus and keeps it stable in spite of the saccadic movement. So what is saccades? Saccades are tiny movements made by eyes that keeps the vision from adapting to a constant visual stimulus, so that what is stared at steadily doesn't slowly disappear. And there is one concept which you should know, which is of eidetic imagery, or the ability to access a visual memory over a long period of time. So it is also known as photographic memory. So these people are able to hold on to the visual information for a longer duration than the said time. For example, we have seen that the capacity of iconic memory is very short, like fraction of seconds, but people who have this photographic memory, they can hold on to the information, visual information, for a long period of time. Okay, echoic sensory memory. Echoic memory, it is a brief memory of something which a person has heard, and the duration is 4 seconds, which is larger than or longer than the iconic memory. Echoic memory's capacity is limited to what can be heard at any one moment, and it is smaller than the capacity of iconic memory, but its duration is longer than the iconic memory. Just like iconic memory, echoic memory allows people to hold on to incoming auditory information which you hear, and for long enough for the lower brain centers to decide if the information is important enough to become conscious. It is because of the echoic or auditory memory that musicians are able to tune their musical instruments. Okay, now short-term memory. Remember the movies which I recommended you guys, Ghazni and 51st Dates? Okay, so they had the problem of short-term memory. Like for example, if I am giving you this lecture and you're watching this lecture, but if you're not revising it in your mind, or if you're not paying attention to this, which is single attention, then you will lose the information from your short-term memory. But if you're rehearsing the information which I'm speaking to you right now, and if you're revising it again and again, then probably you will transfer the information to the long-term from your short-term memory. So it is because that we need the revision and rehearsal, because information in short term lasts only for 12 to 30 seconds, and it is the second stage of information processing. So informations from sensory memory moves to the short term memory through the process called selective attention, or the ability to focus on only one stimulus from among all sensory input. So the example of selective attention is cocktail party effect. So I don't know if you have experienced this, but you probably must have experienced, like, if you are in a crowd or in some party and you're having conversation with someone, and if someone calls your name, then you are able to shift your attention right to the person who is calling your name, and that is cocktail party effect. So in this, selective attention is needed. So you know that your name is important, right? So it's like it's stored in your long term, and you're instantly directed to the person who is calling out your name, even though you're talking to someone else in the party. And short term memory is also called as working memory. There are two types of rehearsal which we use to transfer the information into the long term memory. One is maintenance rehearsal. It is like practicing or saying some information again and again till you memorize it, in order to maintain it in a short term memory. And second one is elaborative rehearsal. It is way of transferring information from short term memory to long term memory by making that information meaningful in some way, connecting new information with something that is already known. Like, it's a deeper kind of processing, and elaborative rehearsal is most effective than maintenance rehearsal. Rehearsal is just like ramming up, like, for example, if you are memorizing, say for example, duration of the short term memory, or echoic and auditory, or visual memory, and if you are just repeating it again and again, okay, the short term memory lasts for 30 seconds, you're just repeating it, chances are that you might forget it later. But if you compare the information, say for example, we know that auditory memory holds the information longer than iconic memory. So what are we doing here? We are comparing, right? So because of this comparison, it's like we are connecting two informations, and this is known as elaborative rehearsal, because of which we are able to memorize the concepts easily. Short-term memory tends to be encoded in auditory or sound form. Why is it called working memory? Because it is an active system that processes the information it contains at any given moment. According to one researcher, short-term memory consists of three interrelated systems. So there are three interrelated systems in short-term memory, and those are a central executive, which controls and coordinates the other two systems, which are a visual sketchpad, and second is auditory recorder. The central executive would act as an interpreter for both visual and auditory information in short-term memory. Long-term memory. It is the third stage of memory, the system of memory into which all the information is placed to be kept more or less permanently. Its capacity is unlimited and duration is long term. Like, you can see, right? I mean, if you want to learn something new, is it like you cannot learn it? I mean, you can definitely learn it, and it's also not like you forget what you have learned in your past. So it is because of your long term memory. Its duration is long term, and sometimes the memory is still available to us, but uh, we are unable to access it That's the reason we forget. It is because of lack of revision or rehearsal. This is the reason we forget. We will be covering this topic in the theories of forgetting. So I'm keeping it for the next lecture. So let's continue with long-term memory. Long-term memory is encoded in meaningful form. Maintenance and elaborative rehearsal are two waves. And we have seen that elaborative rehearsal is quite effective rather than just maintenance rehearsal. Types of long-term memory. So general facts and knowledge, personal facts, and even skills that can be performed are stored in the long-term memory. So the first type is procedural memory or non-declarative memory. It includes memory for skills, procedures like tying your shoes or playing piano or driving, habits, and conditioned responses. These memories are not conscious but are implied to exist because they affect our conscious behavior. For example, you cannot explain how you tie shoes to someone else, right? You cannot. That is because it's non-declarative memory. It's a procedure you're doing, hence procedural memory. And it is also known as implicit memory. And implicit, why? Because it is not easily brought into conscious awareness. And damage to the hippocampus area of the brain causes anterograde amnesia. uh, it is a type of amnesia in which no new long-term memories can be formed. Okay, now declarative memory. It's also known as explicit memory because it can be consciously known, and it's a type of long-term memory containing information that is conscious and known. So there are two types of declarative memory. One is semantic and second is episodic. So, semantic memory contains general knowledge such as knowledge of language and information learned in formal education, for example, name of objects, math skills, etc. And this show, like Kaun Banega Karodpati, is also one example of semantic memory because it tests your general knowledge. And this are permanent memory, like it is stored in the long-term memory. All the semantic information, like for example, general knowledge, your whatever you have studied in your school days are stored in a permanent long-term storage, but it can be lost if you do not revise or practice. And second one is episodic memory. It's a type of declarative memory containing personal information which is not readily available to other people, such as your daily activities and events. For example, your birthday, your childhood events. It represents episodes from your life. Okay, so I have covered the types of memory in this chapter. The three stages of memory, which is sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. I will be covering further subtopics of memory chapter in next lecture. Hope you read this chapter, and if you have any query, you can drop me message personally or you can comment. So let's do the concept check MCQs. First question is what is saccades? It was asked in the set exam of 2019. So the options are A, heart beating faster, B, eye movement, C, a quick simultaneous movement of both eyes between two or more phases of fixation in the same direction, D, visual memory. Take your time, try to answer it by yourself, and then go to the next slide. Okay, so the answer is B. Second question, which type of memory allows us to have meaningful conversations? A, iconic memory, B, short-term memory, C, echoic memory, or D, long-term memory. Take your time, pause the video, try to answer it by yourself, then go to the next slide. Okay, so the answer is option C. Question third. Raj learned capitals of countries by repeating it over and over again until he had them memorized. He is using what kind of rehearsal? A. Repetitive. B. Imagery. C. Elaborative. Or D. Maintenance. Try to answer it by yourself. Pause the video, then check the answer in next slide. Okay, right answer is D. Okay, so thanks for watching. Do subscribe and share the video with your friends and stay tuned for more upcoming conceptual videos related to NET, JRF, set psychology and for MCQs, which will be uploaded once a week based on the all the lectures which I will be sharing from Monday to Saturday. So do go through the videos. Thank you.